Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee with the Pastor. I'm Pastor John Woodin, and this is a ministry of Hollywood Faith Christian Center in beautiful Hollywood, Florida. We welcome you. Well, this is our last of the continuing series on the Apostle Paul, and we take it up on Acts 26 when he says that he's before King Agrippa. Now, Agrippa is with Festus, the Roman consul, and Paul is petitioning, and he says, King Agrippa, do you believe the prophets? I know that you do believe. And Agrippa said to Paul, you almost persuade me to become a Christian. But Paul petitions as a Roman citizen. Every Roman citizen had a right to go directly to the emperor in Rome. And of course, Paul petitions and says he demanded an audience with the emperor in Rome. And Agrippa said, well, if you hadn't asked for that, I would have let you go because I don't see any reason to keep you in chains. And then he goes to Rome on shipboard, and it becomes another chance for revival. If you remember, the ship sinks. But the Holy Spirit, through the angels, tell Paul this. He says, do not be afraid, Paul, you must be brought before Caesar. And indeed, God has granted you all that those who sail with you. Now, that's very interesting because Paul petitions to go to the emperor. Now, the emperor is Nero. Now, Nero is not a friend of Christians. In fact, he hates Christians. He blames the fire in Rome on the Christians. He any chance he gets, he persecutes them. So he knows it's not to preach to Rome, but it's to speak to the very seat of power in Rome, to speak to the throne. Now you say, well, that's no big deal. Well, it's not aimed at Nero because Nero is not interested in getting saved or becoming a Christian. But 300 years later, the Emperor Constantine would become a Christian. And by 380, the Edict of Thessalonica would establish Christianity as the official religion of the Roman Empire. So literally 300 years after Paul speaks to the throne in Rome, very throne, the conversion is complete. Paul, of course, is beheaded by Nero, again, because he is a Roman citizen and he cannot be crucified. He has to be executed another way. So this is an exciting time, and of course, the ship crashes, runs aground, and breaks apart in Malta. Now, they don't even know where they are. Now, I love this because the imagery. Paul is helping build a fire because they're coming out of the water. It's cold. And Paul is gathering sticks, and a snake, a viper, grabs a hold of his hand and bites him. And Paul shakes the snake off into the fire. And they're just waited for him to die, figuring, well, he got bit by a viper, he's going to die. Well, he doesn't die. And of course, then he gets invited to the leading citizens, Publius, his house. His father is sick, and he prays for him, and he gets well. And they have a mini revival where all the sick are brought to Paul, and he heals them all. Now, Paul writes the pastoral letters, 1st and 2nd Timothy and Titus. Those are the pastoral letters to two young pastors. How to be a pastor, how to conduct different things in a ministry. Paul basically outlines throughout his writings how to have church, what the church should be doing, what it shouldn't be doing. And really, he was the one, they think about this, he's correcting the church 30 years after Jesus dies on the cross and taken to heaven. 30 years later, the church is all over the place. And Paul is correcting each church as they get involved in different things and different doctrines. You can only imagine where we are today, 2,000 years later, how far astray we probably are on many things that we do. But he tells Timothy in 2 Timothy chapter 4, I'm already being poured out as a drink offering. Now remember, Paul has spent several years under house arrest in Rome. but he's going before the emperor, and he knows that that's not going to be good. He knows that that's going to be the end. And so he tells Timothy, I'm done. I've run my race, and the time of my departure is at hand. I've fought the good fight. I've finished the race. I've kept the faith. Finally, there is laid up for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will give me on that day. And, of course, he knows that he is going to be executed. Well, one of the things that he writes is 1 Corinthians chapter 13, the love chapter. And he writes that from the Ephesian revival. So in the middle of all these miracles, he's having miracles, all sorts of things. Prayer cloths are going off from his body and are healing the sick. There's just all kinds of things going on. Magicians are burning their books, their spells. Everything is going crazy, and he is in the middle of a full-scale revival. Yet he says this, though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love, I have become a sounding brass or a clanging cymbal. Though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, though I have all faith so that I could remove mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned, but have not love, it profits me nothing. Love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. It does not parade itself, is not puffed up, does not behave rudely, does not seek its own. So Paul reminds us that if we don't have the love of Christ, if we don't have the love in our ministry, if we don't have the love in our life, we are a clanging cymbal. We are just making noise. And Paul writes this from a revival, and he says it's not about signs and wonders. It's not about all the good stuff that's going on. It's about the love of Christ, which is so important. So the next time you think you're so important, or maybe something's going on, just remember to love as Jesus loved. God bless you. We'll see you again next time.